Hello once again. How you doing? Well, here is a little trip back into time. Back in the days when we used to be able to repair our own cars. I have a couple of motors manuals here that I'd like to share with you, a little bit of them anyways, of how much simpler things were back then, and also a backyard mechanic or a shade tree mechanic can fix the stuff themselves. That kind of reminds me of a TV show they had 20 years ago or so called The Shade Tree Mechanic. Learned a lot from that. But anyways, let's take a look at some of these old motor manuals that I have. Well, I was wrong. They're not motors manuals, they're Chilton's manuals. And the first one is 1940 to 1953, and then 1954 to 1963. Now, I picked these up at a yard sale many years ago. So let's take a look through the 1940 to 1953 book first here. Of course, there's the general vehicle troubleshooting basics. These things the backyard mechanic can pretty well do himself. I've done a few timing chains in my day. Well, let's get into the specifics of certain cars here. Of course, your Dynaflow transmissions and stuff. I never got into automatic transmissions, of course. I just did the basic repairs, but let's see if we can find a... Here is my unhappy experience with that 51 Plymouth that I bought. I don't think I've told you anything about that. I bought that probably almost 20 years ago. I got burned on that deal. I got a 51 Plymouth Cranbrook, and these are all the extra parts that I got with it. Paid $1,000 for the car and sold it for $300. It was junk. It smoked like hell. It frame was rotted out. The floor pans were rotted out. Everything. I was foolish when I bought it. Got burned on that deal. Anyways, that was about the time I think I picked up this book at the yard sale. Done some carburetor rebuilds years ago, but they most of the time they were worse when I got done with them. So I ended up just getting rebuilt and sticking them on the cars that I've had. Mainly the 63 Galaxy that I had. And carburetor specifications. Rochester carburetors. I think a Carter is what I used in my 63 Galaxy. And your Buicks, the old Buicks. I never had the privilege of owning any of these nice old cars. I always wanted one. Didn't have to be a 57 Chevy, it just had to be an antique car. Something I can get in and tool around in. But when I bought that 51 Plymouth there, that was anything but a turnkey operation. It did run, but it smoked like hell. But anyways, there's a steering box, it looks like, for a 40 to 53 Buick. Yeah. Boy, these things you could work on, though, I'll tell you. Even the V8s, you could get in there and work on them. No idea if this camera's in focus or not. Yeah, you can get into things, You can do a lot of this stuff. I've done valves in my old 50 Studebaker Champion, the in-the-head valves and stuff. Ground them in, what they call lapping, with the valve grinding compound. Not exactly the best way to do it, but I was just learning back then. I just got my driver's license around 1964. So I was working in that old 50 Studebaker Champion. Cadillac specifications. I mean, you can adjust all your valves and your ring gaps. I never did rings. I was just start learning to do it, but I never did bother with that. I had replaced the bearing inserts in the 50 Studebaker Champion when it seized up on me because it ran out of oil, because the oil pressure line broke that went to the oil gauge. I didn't know it, and I was on the highway. But that was not a success. I was just learning, and it still knocked like hell. And so I threw an engine from a 59 Studebaker Lark into the 50 Studebaker Champion because the Lark transmission was no good. And drove it for another year and a half or so. Let's go into the Studebaker. Let's see if I can find a Studebaker here. And there's a 50 Studebaker. Specifications. I can't read this even with my reading glasses. The camera will probably pick it up better. I used to be able to read these books without glasses at all. Let's see. 50 Studebaker, 6-cylinder. That's what I had. Champion. Looks like 85 horsepower. That's the one I had. Like I say, I don't know if this camera's picking up focus properly or not. I use my Samsung SL105 quite a bit for videos. It's quick, grab it, throw it in my pocket, and do my thing. Yeah, 50 Champion, 6-cylinder. It says J7 on the spark plug. I always thought it was a J8, but don't forget that's many, many years ago. So, but I used to tune them and, points and condenser, rotor, cap, the whole 9 yards. Yep. There she be. The old bullet nose 50 Studebaker Champion. There she be. Kind of wished I still had that car, but, well, I got rid of it many, 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 many years ago. She was a standard shift column. Shifted really nice, too. Never had to put a clutch in it. Of course, I didn't put that many miles on it. It smoked so damn much I was afraid to take it out anywhere. Brakes. A buddy of mine, that's the car I learned how to do basic car repairs. A buddy of mine, the old guy, Nate Carver, that you've probably seen on one of my earlier videos, he taught me a lot about auto mechanics, and we built brake cylinders and put brakes in the thing and everything else. So, of course, naturally, when you get a car like that, when I got it, the car was 16 years old. Actually, it was too young to smoke, but it smoked anyways. That's a joke, in case you didn't know. Alright, well, let's go into the 1950 and 54 Chiltons and see what we got in there. Well, here's the... You can tell by the front end the years of the vehicles. Unlike the crap they call cars nowadays, you can tell the difference when you see one of these things coming down the road. You can tell about the year and whether it was a Chevy, a Ford, a Dodge, or a Plymouth, or whatever it was. Yes, sir. 57 Chevy right there. Your Dodge DeSoto. Dodge, your DeSoto, and your Dodge Dart. if we can get forward here. Mine was a Galaxy, but it had a 6-cylinder in it. 63 Galaxy. Let's see if we can find that in here somewhere. Well, here's the Ford Fairlane. It had the front like my 63 Galaxy. Mine was more like the Fairlane. It had a 6-cylinder in it, although it said Galaxy right on the front and the back. But it did have a 223 6-cylinder in it. Let's see if we can find my Galaxy in here. Fairlane and Meteor. Thunderbird. There's a lot of Thunderbirds in here. A lot. Lincoln Continental. Mercury. Can't find a Galaxy, but the Meteor, the Fairlane rather, was similar. And polarizing the generator. I've done that when you have to replace the brushes and everything and polarize the generator. That car used to overcharge on the highway. Been to Wheeling, West Virginia many times with it to see the WWVA Jamboree. And I made a ballast. I built the ballast with a relay that I can control from inside the car. It's on one of my videos if you want to look back on it a couple years ago. And the video a couple years ago. I built it back in the early 70s. And it would control the current flowing into the field and therefore control the charging of the, because it used to overcharge. It used to go 16, 17, 18 volts. Around the city there was no problem. But anyways, I can't seem to find any Galaxy here, but it used the same engine. The Fairlane was used the same 6-cylinder engine, which was a 223. I've done quite a few valve jobs on it and torqued the head. This is the 223. Well, it doesn't say it here, but that's what it is. And had the heads out, well, a head, I should say, a 6-cylinder, out to the machine shop to have it milled down and everything. Done all that stuff years ago. The old Oldsmobile F85s. Never owned one of those. But you know, these books are geared for the backyard mechanic, the do-it-yourselfer. You know? Not anymore. You're at the mercy of a garage every damn time you want something done. The old Ramblers. My aunt had a 59 Rambler. And here, they're good little cars. But like the Studebakers, the 6-cylinders, would smoke like hell. Ramblers, your Studebakers, and your Plymouth, all 6-cylinder flatheads, they smoke like a bastard. We're on a Studebaker page here, starting, of course, in 1954. These are the, well, you can tell, 59 Lark is what I had. That's why I hauled the engine out of it and put it in my Studebaker 50 Studebaker Champion, the same head. I had to modify the oil pan. I've discussed that on one of my videos too. I had to have it done in a welding shop, actually. Then they got the Studebaker Hawk series here. Yep, a lot of nice cars back then. That's when they made cars. That's when cars had class. All your cars from the 70s on down, that's when cars had class. You know? Oh yeah. Yep, the good old days. All we can do is reminisce now. That's about it. This day and age, I could never afford to own an antique car. Even a simple little one like a Plymouth, like a 40 Plymouth, 37 Plymouth. I think that's the one with the floor shift. My dad had one of those. I'd love to get one of those. I think it was a 37 Plymouth that had window shades in it. Had a floor shift. Oh man, I'd love to have a car like that. Well, enough reminiscing. Hope you enjoyed looking through these books. I know I did. It's kind of hard to get everything in on a video, of course, but this may jog some fond memories for us old-timers out there. I know it has for me. Thank you for watching.